Roger and Keith, in the course of their individual interviews, talk of how The Who was formed. Roger Daltrey spoke with Dave Herman in the fall of 1975.
Did you have your eyes set on music at the time?
Oh yeah, I was still playing in the band every night.
Mm-hmm. Which band was that?
The Who.
Oh, the Who already?
Well, the original.
The original
which was it started off with me, then Entwistle joined.
The Detours came first, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Entwistle was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Townsend was in it. No, Townsend wasn't, but Entwistle was.
How did you meet John?
I met him just walking along the road one day. I knew he came from the school I went to, and he's another character. I mean, he could never melt into a crowd. He was a gawky kind of figure, and he had this strange-looking instrument, which was the first electric bass I'd ever seen, which he'd made himself. Mm-hmm. It was shaped like an old boot.
And he was walking along the road and carrying it.
He had it around his neck and he was picking on it. Really?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I want to join a band. And he said, oh, all right. And he came along, and that was how Entwistle joined.
So, and then next to come along was Peter Townsend.
Yeah, then Townsend came along about a year later.
How'd you meet him?
Through Entwistle. I mean, they were in the same year at school, a year younger than me. Mm-hmm. And various people had been joining and leaving the group, in that year.
And was it kind of your group, you kind of leader of the band?
Yeah, and John said, I've got this mate at school who plays really good guitar. So I said, I'll bring him along then. And that was Townsend. And I remember Townsend because, I mean, there's another complete individual. I mean, Townsend must have had such a terrible childhood at school, I mean, because he was all nose when he was young. He really was. It was like a nose on legs. It was really, I know he's got this thing about his nose, but I mean, it must have been murder to live with. I mean, God, he must have gone through hell.
So the Detours then were John Entwistle on bass, Peter Townsend on guitar, and you played what?
I played lead guitar.
And a little trombone, I'm told.
Yeah, that was. We used to play a bit of trad jazz as well. Yeah. Uh-huh. And Entwistle used to play trumpet. I was on trombone. Townsend was on banjo. Oh, that's funny. We had a go at anything, Yeah. And we used to be playing in pubs every night. I used to be working all day and playing in pubs all night for about that time. I think we used to get about between £7 and £10 a night.
But you don't play any instruments?
And all the beer you can drink.
You don't play any instruments anymore?
In our naivety, and in them days, it was about 2 points.
You can handle more than 2 pints.
I can still play, yeah. I mean, what happened was, being a sheet metal worker and playing the guitar just don't go together. I used to come home and sort of my hands were like shredded.
Is that what led for you getting into more singing and less playing? With
we had
a
lot of problems with singers anyway, and the guitar was becoming more and more difficult. My hands were becoming like incredibly hard. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'll have a go at singing, and why don't you play lead, Pete?
And who was playing drums at the time?
And that's where Pete got his start, because he was a rhythm player. Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden, bang, he had to play lead, so he was doing a bit of both. At this time, we had various drummers. We had a guy called Doug Sandon, who was a bricklayer. And one day we were playing in a pub. This was about, I think this was 11 years ago.
11 years ago would make it...
No, it's 12 years ago. 12 years ago. And...
had he been your drummer for a while?
Sandon had, yeah. And we decided that he had to go because he was all right, but he was nothing. We were all vastly different. We were totally individual. And out of the crowd came this incredible ginger geezer wearing a bright ginger suit with bright ginger hair and these great big massive brown eyes. And he came out and said, "Here, I can play the drums a million times better than that geezer." I went, "Oh yeah." I thought, the right little twerp we got here. And
that was Keith Moon.
I said, "Go on, have a go then." So he got up and within 2 songs he demolished the drum kit. And that was Keith Moon, yeah.
Keith Moon, 2 years earlier.
We were all from roughly the same area in London, and we all used to work under the same agency, and but in different groups. The best group was the Detours, which is what the band was called, which consisted of Roger, Pete, John, and a guy called Doug Sandon. Then they got rid of their drummer, and I got to hear about it through the agency, and so I decided to go down and listen to the band. And I went down to a very small pub, and they were playing, the boys were out there doing a set. I'd had a few drinks, and I decided, well, I'll just steam up on stage and play, and they've never thrown me out since.